Legally Blonde is my favorite movie because Elle Woods is confident and ambitious, and she never has to water herself down to become the next best version of herself. Visually, I love this movie. I love all the pink. I love all the sparkles. I love Bruiser, her tiny dog. I love that Elle Woods feels like someone I know, if not a version of myself, the representation of my truest, girliest ambitions for who I would be as a young adult. And she can be all those things alongside being smart and confident and kind. She never has to choose one or the other. And she treats everyone that she encounters with an incredible level of respect and kindness. And you know what? One thing about Elle Woods, yes, she was confident, she was ambitious, she was smart, she was driven. But one thing that I don't think is appreciated enough is that Elle Woods was also a great friend, and she had great friends too. My name is Laura Diaz. Welcome back to Characters. Make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. Let's start at the very beginning at the sorority house at Delta Nu. Everyone at that sorority house was willing to celebrate Elle Woods, whether it was ahead of this potential engagement or when she switched gears and she really studied and she made a massive accomplishment in her LSAT score. Elle Woods had consistently shown up for the women of this house as their friend, as their president. She was advocating for them, she was showing up for them, so they were willing to show up for her. And it didn't really matter what they were showing up for. It's not that all of these women were celebrating a potential engagement. It's that they were happy for Elle. So they could divert that energy into this new goal that she accomplished. At the end of the film, when Elle Woods is representing Brooke Windham at trial, Elle's very first trial, her friends show up in the courtroom and they have no idea what's going on, but they are just happy to be there supporting their friend. Her friends are proud of her and they are celebrating her because they know that this is important to Elle. Even quickly touching on that trial, when Brooke Windham trusted Elle and told her the secret of where she truly was when her husband was murdered, Brooke Windham was getting liposuction. Brooke told her that in confidence. Under no circumstances was Elle willing to betray the trust of this woman. And this would have been the perfect alibi for a murder case. Immediately upon meeting Paulette, Elle Woods treats her like a friend and they become good friends. Elle Woods was going to go with her to get back that dog. There are other side characters we see over the course of her time at Harvard. David Kidney, for example, someone that she meets in her first small study group on the lawn, when she introduces herself and Bruiser Woods as both Gemini vegetarians. In that moment, she is not pretending to be anything other than herself. And David Kidney is a fellow law student who maybe is in their own world, but she has an opportunity just walking by when she sees him getting rejected. These two girls are kind of giving him a hard time, kind of making fun of him. This guy that she doesn't really owe anything to, Elle Woods turns around and puts on a great show and puts him in a good light. For the film, it's a great moment of comedic relief in a sense, but I also think it's a great representation of who Elle Woods was trying to be. Had she been in David Kidney's situation, maybe she would have wanted someone to show up that way. She was always willing to stand up for people, even people that weren't asking her to stand up for them, even people she didn't really have to stand up for. In addition to pursuing her own accomplishments over the course of this film, Elle Woods is also someone who cares and invests deeply in her people. And I would definitely say that the female friendships in this film play a bigger role in Elle Woods' character development than the romantic storyline with Emmett. And actually, on the topic of Emmett, I like that the love interest in this movie is kind of a side character. I feel like Elle Woods didn't need a love interest. But on one hand, from a cinematic point of view, it does add a really nice closure of the loop. She went to Harvard to pursue a man that would not marry her, and she ended up finding a guy who was so much better and really liked her for who she truly was, and he is willing to marry her, and actually he's proposing tonight on graduation night. But also, Emmett playing as small of a role as he does in the overall story of Legally Blonde, it's being demonstrated to us that Elle Woods, over the course of this arc, has decentered men. The story opens up leading to this big engagement, which she thinks is her big engagement. All of her friends are cheering her on. Everyone's wishing her well. She can't wait, the biggest night of her life. And those same friends were cheering her on when her dream changed. Yes, she does get engaged at the end of the movie, but it almost doesn't matter because her accomplishments are so much more important to her. And also to us. And even if we can jump ahead a little bit in the timeline, Emmett is similarly a very small character in Legally Blonde 2. He's basically absent for most of the movie. I think a big part of what we today romanticize as the qualities of this kind of 2000s film girl boss really surround that character being so fulfilled in her life. And a huge part of that fulfillment is her friendships. Let's talk a little bit about Paulette. played by the great Jennifer Coolidge. And I want to specifically talk about the scene of Elle Woods and Paulette going to get Paulette's dog back, because this scene was important both for our understanding of their friendship, but also for our understanding of Elle's growth as an individual in this new stage of life. When we first meet Paulette, Elle Woods is crying. She whips into a parking spot as soon as she sees this nail salon. She just has to go and get some relief. She knows that this is going to make her feel better. Elle comes into this nail salon crying, and Paulette is immediately sympathetic when Elle tells her what's going on. Elle had just met Vivian for the first time, and Paulette is like, yeah, all men really do suck. During that conversation, we also learn that Paulette was in a long-term relationship, and she unfortunately lost custody of her dog. This scene of Elle Woods and Paulette going to get Paulette's dog back is the first time that we're seeing them outside of the nail salon. So this is also kind of a confirmation of what's being implied to us so far, that these women are truly friends, that they do truly care for each other. This is not just like Elle Woods' nail tech that she's checking in with once a month. They're not talking outside of their appointments. These are two women who have truly started a friendship. And we know that Elle Woods is a woman willing to go to bat for her friends. She's going to stand up for anyone in her life, but especially the women that she loves. So immediately she is willing to stand up for Paulette. We learn that Paulette is a woman who was blindsided by this man that she was with for a very long time. So there's a little bit of like a parallel in their experiences. And switching gears a little bit, if we can zoom in solely on Elle in this scene, this is the first time that we are seeing her really gaining confidence in her legal education. She goes to this trailer not totally sure what she's going to say to Paulette's ex-husband, ex-boyfriend, whoever that guy was. But as soon as she realizes that Paulette is not nearly as confident as she would like her to be, Elle Woods pulls out her little glasses and she whips out some legal jargon. Elle Woods has to take herself seriously, so this guy takes her seriously. She can't break her character, she has to put on her little show. And in the end, she is successful in getting Paulette's dog back. So this was really the first time that we're seeing Elle Woods taking herself seriously as a lawyer. Even if she was just pretending, even if she was just putting on a show for this guy, this is the first time that she is getting confirmation that if she can act the part, she can get things done. If she thinks of herself as a lawyer, she can have impact. And even in the little lines of Elle Woods and Paulette together, when Elle Woods looks at Paulette and she's like, "Tell him, Paulette." And then Paulette goes, "I'm taking the dog, dumbass." That is so in line with how we understand Elle Woods to act. As she is bettering herself, she is bettering the people in her life. She's cheering on her friends. She's showing up for everyone in her life, whether or not they're showing up for her, whether or not they're even respecting her. She's treating everyone with that kindness that she too would like to be treated with. And now let's talk a little bit about Elle Woods and Brooke Windham, a relationship that wasn't truly a friendship, but rather one of mutual respect and understanding. Why would Brooke Windham choose a law student to represent her in a high-profile criminal case over who we are told is the best criminal defense attorney money can buy? It's not because they're both Delta News. It's not because they're both Los Angeles girls. Elle Woods respected Brooke Windham, and she could understand and appreciate the reputational risk that came along with playing this case safely, with going about this trial in a traditional way, in the traditional way that Callahan was doing it. Now, when we're first introduced to Brooke Windham in this film, it's in this scene where Callahan and his interns, the law students, and his associates, Emmett is there. This whole team is meeting with Brooke Windham at jail, and it's immediately tense. Brooke Windham acknowledges that Callahan does not believe her. And he's kind of like, "Yeah, I don't believe you, but that doesn't really matter here." Brooke Windham knows that Callahan not only doesn't believe her, but he also just doesn't respect her. The room is super tense, everyone is filing out, and Elle Woods is the very last person in that line to leave. And Brooke Windham gets held back and she's like, "Hey, I know you." Elle Wood in that moment gushes and she's like, "Yeah, I love your fitness classes." And then Brooke Windham replies that she has the best high kick she's ever seen. Brooke Windham also says something about like, "At least one of you has a brain." There's immediately an understanding between these two women that Elle Woods understands and respects Brooke's public image, the public image that is at risk during this trial. Later on, we see Elle Woods going to visit Brooke Windham. And we know that Elle does this on her own accord because later Callahan applauds her for taking the initiative to go get Brooke's alibi. And when Elle Woods and Brooke Windham are meeting on opposite sides of the glass, Elle Woods is meeting Brooke with dignity. She brings her this basket full of hygiene products. She says it's a full Clinique skincare set. There's a loofah, there's some really nice sheets. And there's the latest issue of Cosmopolitan magazine. So in this moment, Elle Woods is not entirely showing up as Brooke Windham's lawyer, but rather someone who respects her and someone who wants to see her on the other side of this. Someone who cares for her. So in that scene, Elle's goal is to get Brooke's alibi. Brooke is like, I cannot tell you. And Elle Woods is like, who would understand better than me? She's signaling it's not just that Elle Woods believes her, but she understands her. They see themselves in each other. And when she got that alibi, Elle Woods was never going to give her up. Later, when she was called up to represent Brooke, Elle Woods had to get creative. And this was her opportunity to lean into her truest Cosmo girl, because Elle got this role of representing Brooke by being her truest self, by showing Brooke Windham this respect, this care. The qualities that earned her that trust were also the qualities that helped her succeed with this major opportunity. Frankly, the biggest opportunity that she could have had at this point in her career as a law student. While so many people throughout this story were doubting Elle, her strength came from never doubting herself. She had a moment there where she was like, I don't know if law school is for me. She had a moment where she thought she was going to leave. We saw her saying goodbye to Paulette. But when she realized she didn't have to change herself or water herself down to succeed, that was the moment where she became the most powerful version of herself. Even thinking about that professor who the first day of class kicked her out of her classroom for being unprepared, they unexpectedly see each other at the nail salon, at Paulette's nail salon. And that professor says something along the lines of like, if you let one stupid guy change your mind or ruin your life, then you're not the girl I thought you were. Reminding us that she is not a girl who is going to change because of a man, who's not going to reach her fullest potential because of a man. She has everything she needs within herself. I feel like I could talk about Legally Blonde all day. Like I said, it really is my favorite film. Incredible story and visually a dream. I love all her outfits. And I also love Legally Blonde 2. I feel like Legally Blonde 2 is an underrated sequel. Maybe we can talk about that one next. And I did start watching Elle on Prime, the prequel series where Elle Woods as a teenager is forced to move to Seattle. I've only watched a couple of episodes, but I feel like it's really cute so far. I feel like a lot of people have very strong opinions on the show not being as true to the character of Elle Woods as they'd like it to be. I won't get into my thoughts yet, just because, again, I haven't finished it. But I feel like if you can look at it as just like a part of the world of Elle Woods, a separate project, it is really enjoyable. It's not perfect, but I feel like for what it is, it's very fun. Let me know your favorite relationship in Legally Blonde. Was it with Paulette, Brooke Windham, someone else we haven't even talked about? And also let me know your favorite 2000s girly movie. I love thinking through the themes of films like this. Films that I find to be so powerful because they're stories about like self-fulfillment. A woman never having to change who she truly is to accomplish all of her dreams. I'm thinking of films like 13 Going on 30 or How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or The Sweetest Thing, Confessions of a Shopaholic. All movies where the main characters have the opportunity to really lean into their femininity. The decor is fabulous. The outfits are fabulous. Their friends play a huge role. While there is some central theme of like a work accomplishment perhaps, work is not the center of her world. She is generally winning at life. Thank you so much for tuning into Characters. My name is Laura. Make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. All of my links are down below, and I'll talk to you really soon. Bye.